All right.
Ready?
Yep. Oh, wait. Can I get a drink of something? My throat's...
Yes, you can. Enjoy the wonderful sounds of Darren going to get something to drink.
Buyer's Remorse.
Hello, and welcome to Buyer's Remorse. I'm Darren.
I'm Justin.
And on Buyer's Remorse, we make each other play a game that's been sitting in our libraries, unplayed. We play it for 60 minutes, and then we see if it was worth the money or if it was, something that is better off left in the trash. So, what is your game this week, Justin?
Trackmania Nations Forever.
Oh.
I don't know why you wanted me to play this, because this is just going to get you back into it again. I know it is.
It's not. Did you manage to play it? I tried to reinstall mine just the other day because I got kicked out of it for some reason.
Uh-huh.
And I can't log in.
Uh-huh. Did you get a white screen?
No, because I have an account, but it's like, no. Okay, we sent what's your username? It's this. Okay, send email. I forgot my password. Send email. It's like email sent. I've been through every single one of my email accounts just because I can't remember which one I signed up with. I've been through all of my spam folders. I can't find the password reset.
Oh, that's what's working. Okay.
And I've essentially been locked out of the game.
Well, you just need to start a new account.
I tried that, and it's like, oh, but this key is with another account. Because you've got a key from Ubisoft, yeah?
No.
Or it is Ubisoft that does this.
All right, look, I don't understand why this would be a case. Because this game is free.
It is, but if I want to play on Steam, I can't.
There's got to be a way. We'll figure that out later. I had a totally different problem, but let's talk about the game itself. Developed by Nadio.
Yep.
And published by Ubisoft, which totally shocked me. I didn't realize. Very positive overall with 14,744 reviews. Like I said, it's free. Doesn't look free. It actually looks better than that. Though some of the UI of logging in with the profile stuff still looks incredibly dated.
Yeah, it is.
How old is this game?
I started playing this when it was free. It was basically online. You didn't need anything to run it. It wasn't through Steam that I played this on. It was like almost the equivalent of a Flash game online. So I've been playing it for, I'd say, 12 years.
Okay. It looks amazing for somebody who's 12 years old. It's got some issues. The biggest thing is that when I tried to start it up, I just kept getting a white screen that would do nothing. Okay. And I would X out of the game, and it would say, Trackmania.com. I could see that part, but I couldn't actually see the game or how to interact with it. Apparently, this is a common problem. So somebody, helpfully on Steam in the forums, has a patch that you can install with instructions of where to install it and how to install it. So once I installed that, it did work. But this is the reason why I didn't play it years ago when you were trying to get me to play it, because I couldn't get it to work. Okay, so I've done you a favor. Introduced you to your next new favorite game. I don't know about that. And I also wonder if the game has gone through a lot of changes since I watched you playing it, because it doesn't look the same. Oh. Well, it doesn't look the same as a lot of the maps I saw you racing through. Okay. And so I don't know if it's had a massive upgrade since then, or if people are just doing a different style now than they were before. It is just as crazy as it was before, though. Maybe worse, maybe better. I don't know. You'll have to get in somehow and figure it out yourself. But the biggest thing about this game is the fact that you have spent a ridiculous amount on this one. And I think this is one of those games, if you ever want to get into streaming, this is probably one of your games you should do, because you used to spend hours every night just playing this when you didn't want to have to think about anything else. It was like, I'll get on to Trackmania. Yeah. And sometimes
3 hours later,
I would watch your stream through Steam and going, this is insane. What are you doing? What kind of game is this? It is a racing game. Now, it's Trackmania Nations Forever, so one of the first things you have to do is choose where you are, and then that is going to be your default car, I guess. Yeah. But I didn't like my default car, so I swapped it out for Tunisia, because it has this really cool red gradient look that I liked. I tried to make my nation be Scotland, but that doesn't exist, so Great Britain, I think, is the profile one I had to choose, because it's the closest one I could for you. Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed. I thought, Scotland's got to be here, but no, sadly no.
We'll get independence soon.
And then maybe it'll be upgraded. You have to start with a whole profile, choosing your name, entering your email, all that stuff. I hated that. That's terrible and annoying, and I just want to play the game.
Yeah.
Especially after I had to just patch the game because it doesn't work otherwise.
Yeah.
I started off for the first half hour, I played solo, where you're basically just racing against a ghost of a better car.
Okay. Yeah.
And you get some sort of currency for every victory you get. So if you get bronze, you get +1. Silver is another +1. And then gold is another +1. Do you know what the currency is for?
Coppers. Basically, you use coppers to tip people who host servers. If you like their maps, then you can donate coppers. It's essentially a form of digital currency that...
But what can they use it for?
I don't know. I honestly don't know how it works. I mean, they're always saying, please donate coppers. It helps keep our servers running. So I think there must be some kind of economy where people that host servers and get enough coppers, it gets converted into real money or some kind of credit that allows them to run a server. I've got no idea. That would be worth looking into. But yeah, no idea.
With the solo races, racing against that other ghost level, you don't actually bump into them, which is quite nice. So it doesn't matter if you're running the same exact path as them.
Yeah.
But even early on, you get into some really ridiculous jumps where you have to jump off a ramp to the side because the exit gate is off to your right. So you have to jump off the ramp to the right in order to get there ahead. It's just, you're leaping over an empty space. And if you overshoot it, you fall into a pool of water. So you have to immediately get to the right to get through. And this game is all about quick iteration.
Yeah.
You have buttons for restart the checkpoint and restart from the beginning. And you could just restart over and over again.
Yep.
And that's kind of it with the solo. It's tricky. There are some really tricky ones. The first one wasn't bad, but then they start to get more and more interesting.
Yeah. I haven't finished the solo.
I think I made it through the first 8 maybe in that time, but then I realized 30 minutes had gone by, so I need to make sure that I'm trying some of the other stuff. So I got onto the online play, which I didn't understand at first. Like, you have to choose a server.
Choose a country, basically.
Choose a country, choose a server.
And then choose a map. Because they've got like 8 maps per one. And
well, that's not what I was on. So
some of them do, some of them don't. It depends how well populated it is.
What I was on is I would get onto a country and choose a server, and then it was a series of maps.
Yeah, well, that's right, yeah.
So you start playing, and you have about 7 minutes to get the best time you can in 7 minutes, and then immediately the next race will start.
That's right. Yeah, that's how it goes.
For the most part, I had that, but then right at the end of my time, I switched servers. And this one told me that with free play, I had to watch 1, and then I could play 5, and then I'd have to watch 1. There's this system of building up. It's almost like ad time on YouTube that you have to watch before you can skip.
Yeah,
so you have
they
to
did
watch
that
1
in the
race.
originals. Yeah.
Okay. Whereas the first one I was on, it seemed like anybody could play. Maybe there weren't as many players, so it didn't matter. I don't understand the system or why it's different for one than another.
It's just a way to force you to pay premium. That's all it was. It's like, imagine it as free to play, and it's their punishment for not being one of the cool guys.
Okay. But in the online play, boy, were there some crazy maps here.
Yeah.
One of them had boost.
Okay, yeah.
But they put the boost backwards. So there's a part where you have to fly off of this platform with enough speed to push through the boost backwards. Otherwise, there's just no way to go. You have to start back at the beginning again.
Yeah.
That just blew my mind. I was like, what am I in for? And that wasn't even the craziest. Like, that was the tamest of the ones that I was about to experience. There was one that had a loop that was sideways.
Okay.
Like a horseshoe sideways. That was just so challenging. You had to get through all the boosts to give you enough speed to get up to it and drive sideways along this to get to the next section, which was another bunch of boosts to go straight up this wall and do a loop at the top or something. I didn't finish. 5 other people didn't finish that one. If you don't finish, you don't get a time. You just get question marks.
Yes.
And I wasn't the only question mark person. Okay, so it wasn't just me.
Yeah.
The game is completely unforgiving if you fall off the track. If you're off the track, you're just off the track. You can drive around the bottom all you want. You can drive around the grass, but oftentimes you can't get back on the track. So it's restart the checkpoint or restart from the beginning.
Yeah, because for some reason, well, the tracks are sometimes just suspended in midair.
Most of them seem to be. The ones I played.
Yeah, and also the tracks, and I don't know, maybe this is a real thing for Formula One cars, but you can't even go up curbs. You can't even go up a bump to get back onto the track. Sometimes you'll just hit if it's like a little steel thing, it's like donk, you just stop dead. Yeah, you've got to hit that backspace button, spam it.
There was one that had what appeared to be pipes with covers on them, and you had to drive across the tops of these pipes, but if you didn't have enough speed, then you're done for.
Right.
And also, if you didn't fly across it, then you're also going to bounce around, and you could kind of control it a little bit. You can use up and down to try and push your car into a level area, but it's really tricky to do. So that one is another one that I think I never finished. I think most people didn't finish. It was just so tricky because it was basically designed, you have to hit it right from the first, and you have to do it from the beginning.
Yeah, it's almost like they've designed a track and then ran an AI through it and be like, okay, because they have ways, because sometimes if you reverse through the beginning, it'll give you an autopilot and it'll show you what you've got to do. Did you find that?
I didn't find that, though. In this part, the one checkpoint I found, if I reversed back, I could hit a boost. There was a boost just before going across the pipes.
Okay.
So I could reverse, and then about 1 out of 10 times, I would say, I could manipulate the car enough to not fall completely off and make it to the next boost and almost make it to the third one, but I could never make it to that final one. And I think one of the biggest things about it, though, was when you start backing up, the controls just get really weird because the controls remain the same even though you're looking at your car backwards.
Yes, so everything's reversed now.
Yeah, and that just did my brain in. I just couldn't seem to quite get it. If I was looking forward and reversing, I would know which way to control it. Mm-hmm. If I was looking backwards and the controls swapped, I would know what I was doing. But no, I'm going backwards, looking backwards, but having to still think as though I'm facing forward in a way that just, in a real car, I'd be doing this. But for some reason, in the game, I just couldn't wrap my head around it.
And not just that, is sometimes the camera will pan around. Once you start reversing, the camera will be like, okay, I'm going to swoop around to the front. But as it's swooping around to the front, your controls are just wait. Don't even press left or right at that point because you don't know where you'll be going. You probably fall through the floor. But yeah, it's weird. The controls are wonky at that point.
I fell so many times.
Yeah.
There was another one with just ridiculous jumps. There was one where you have to hop just a little bit to the right. So you're making a huge left turn, and if you go straight, you run into a wall, but there's another track just off to the right that you have to just be able to fly over to get onto.
Right, I know what you mean.
And then beyond that is another jump that I never made.
And somewhere there's just no checkpoints either, because it's not worth it. What they're counting on is you take every curve and maintain speed X, and if you don't have speed X, when you come out of that turn, you're not making it to the next part. And usually it's something like, it's maybe down a little bit. There's nothing. You just have to glide onto it. And if you're 1 kilometer an hour short of that, you're not making it. Because when you hit, you'll lose speed because there's physics, but you won't have the speed to get to the next one. And you can get all the way, and like the end is in sight, and you cannot just make that final jump. And it's so frustrating, man. It's like, oh, like you said, you've only got 7 or however many minutes the creator has allowed you to have on it.
Yeah. And I found that a lot. Oh, so much trying to do the checkpoint, but the checkpoint just, you couldn't get enough speed. I tried to reverse to get enough ground to get fast enough, but I couldn't quite. So then you start from the beginning and still miss that same first slide over to the other track over and over again. It could be really, really frustrating. After each match, you can rank the map, I guess.
Yeah, you can.
Are these all community-based?
Yep.
And do you just keep going forever when you're on that server?
Yeah, I mean, it loops eventually back round. So basically, each server will have a bunch of maps. Each server will have a list, and there'll be like a menu on the right side. My favorite ones are the LOL maps. So there's like the LOL maps, which are all these ridiculous, stupid, crazy jumps and twists and turns, and some of them are just impossible to finish. They've made it so hard.
Because that's what I remember. As I remember, there was one where there are all these white pipes, and you had to try to just jump through it, and all the cars were just crashing into
it's just
everything
going
all the
everywhere.
time.
Yeah. But that's why I like this game. I love this game, and I wanted you to play it because you watched me play it, and you're like, nah, I don't think that's for me. And I'm like, well, play it for an hour, see what you think. Because it's almost like, okay, hear me out. It's an adult version of Mario Kart, but it also has puzzles. It's almost like a racing puzzle game.
Well, I would say that because many of them were confusing. I didn't know where I was supposed to be going.
Because there's some with secret tunnels, there's some with shortcuts that you can take. They've exploited the engine to create glitches where you can glitch through things to find secret tunnels and stuff. You'll be playing a map, and then you'll be like, some guy's finished, you finish it in 1 minute and 32, and everyone's 133, 131, 129. But there's this guy, 28 seconds, and you're like, what's going on here? So you know there's a secret to the level. I love that about it, because some of those maps are a puzzle. Some of them, there are many different modes. There's like a Le Mans mode where you're just like racing. It's basically how many laps can you get and what's your average time. There's a bunch of different modes, but yeah, I just like the crazy maps and like the puzzle ones. So yeah, the LOLs, there's puzzle maps. You just find those, and then inside that menu, there'll be like 20 of the LOLs, and then there'll be a different menu. So you find the ones that you like, you find the servers that you like, and then you just keep going back to them. At least that's what I did.
I didn't really like the jump ones as much because, like you said, oftentimes I would just not be able to hit that jump.
Yeah.
And once you can't hit that jump, then it's all over. But some of the others I really did enjoy, and I thought that it was a lot of fun. Especially the music. Can you choose the radio station? There's sort of a streaming station that plays.
Yeah.
And it wasn't fake music or, free-to-play music. I was listening to Zeppelin and Sabbath and a lot of... I had whatever classic rock was the standard one that seemed to be playing.
That's on one of the... I think I don't think you can choose the music, but you can definitely go by server. There's one, I think it's called classic rock or metal or something like that, and they only play heavy metal on it. There's other ones that are full of like really hardcore European like dance music and stuff like that as well. I avoid those ones when I can. I'm not sure of the legality of that. I'm pretty sure it's not above board, but maybe, I don't know, maybe they get permission for it. I'm sure. I don't know if Led Zeppelin gave them rights to.
Well, I don't think so, but maybe this is a free streaming radio that is allowed to. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't want to get Trackmania Nations Forever in trouble for doing that. But the thing is, mostly with this game, is that it is a racing game. And with these levels, the community levels, it feels like they are trying to make Mario Kart style levels, but for cars that are not designed to do it.
Yeah.
And without having the benefit of power-ups or boosts or turbos or anything, I kept trying all the buttons, hoping there was a turbo button somewhere I was missing so that I could do those jumps. Yeah, I found the horn too many times. Yes. There's something about it, even though Mario Kart levels are absolutely insane, or, if you want to go to other things like Jack X Racing or some of the other crazy games that I've played for racing, they were designed to be crazy. This one feels like it's trying to use real-world physics, but in the most insane ways possible.
That's a good way to say it.
And there's something about that one with the horseshoe turn on its side. I just laughed when I saw that. I just couldn't believe what they were setting up. Some of the others could be very frustrating, but I think for the most part, this game is so crazy, and you don't have to beat it. If you beat that level, great. If you make it to the end, you get a score, but otherwise, you just try it for 7 minutes and then you move on to the next crazy one. And there's something appealing about that. I don't think that I'm going to spend 4,000 hours on it for 12 years like you have, but I do think that there's a good chance I will go back and try it a bit more. Mm-hmm. Especially, I think, the solo stuff, because that's a bit more doable. Mm-hmm. And I think that doing more of the solo stuff might help me understand the physics and the way the controls work a bit more. The controls they're good, but they're not great. They feel dated, and I don't have quite the control that I want.
Is it controller friendly?
I was using a controller.
Oh, okay. I just use the arrow buttons on the keyboard, and it works well, but yeah, it's very just like digital, and it's like...
You're either all left or all right.
Yeah.
There's not a gradual left or gradual right, which is what I need a bit more in a racing game.
But because I think this was made for PC, so I think this is one of the rare occasions where the console port came second. Has that translated? Is there like an analog vibe to it where you're hard left or soft left?
I think there is,
Okay.
but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm deluding myself.
Okay.
But I think that the trigger buttons, the left trigger and the right trigger, actually shimmy you a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right.
Okay.
So I was using that in conjunction with the direction right and then shimmy to the right to get an even better turn ratio on the U-turns.
Okay.
And I don't know if there is a button for that on the keyboard. Whenever the keyboard map came up between levels, it didn't say anything about that.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something that's just been added for controller only. I would not like it without that.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure as I've tried it just using the trigger buttons that it does do something.
Okay. You got to master drift in that if you want to get anywhere near the high scores, man. It's like drift.
That's a big problem because I'm always bad at drift.
Me
Drift
too.
is always my problem.
I suck at drift, man. But I can pull it off once in a while. But these pros that are playing these levels, man, they're just on fire the entire time. If there's like 20 people on a map or 15 people on a map, whatever, there's like usually 2 pages of winners. If I make it on that first page, I'm happy, like the top 10. Sometimes I do make that, but that's because there's only 8 players.
I think I chose lesser servers because I was only 1 page at a time, I think.
Right. So, tags, man, what are you going to tag this as then?
Well, racing, I think, would be the big one. Community, because clearly if all those maps I was playing the second half are community, and that was only from 1 or 2 servers, and I saw pages of servers to choose from in all sorts of regions around the world, and I only looked in, I think Germany, I think is the one I looked in, because it was just the top one. I was like, yeah, give me the top one. And then I tried one that was a recommended one. That's the one I had to...
okay.
That's the one I had to watch for. So maybe the recommended are more popular, so you have to do the watching 1 every 5 races. Just a ton of maps that have been put in. And I popped in and I didn't have a dead server. I had 16 other people I was racing against.
It's quite amazing to see how strong the community still is, man.
For a game that's been around for, as you said, 12 years, that's a very long time. And the last one I would say is Mania, because, well, people who do this over and over for a decade are a bit manic about the game, but also just the levels themselves are crazy. Yeah. You would expect this in a game designed for crazy racing. You wouldn't expect this in a game where the car is meant to have real physics. And that's very interesting. I can't recommend the game to you because you recommended it to me. You've played it a lot more.
Yep.
I would recommend it to anyone who doesn't mind finding the patch and putting it in.
Right.
Because you do have to do that. And the game will email you your password or whatever. So you do have to do that to play the game. But otherwise, it's a free game. And if you like racing, it's worth trying at least. So anybody who doesn't mind those problems, well, then give it a try, I'd say.
So, from before, you weren't too keen on it, but now that you've tried it, buyer's remorse or confirmation?
Well, it's a free game, and it made me laugh. I had a couple good races where I got gold in solo and where I at least survived a couple crazy tracks in the community plays. I don't know, like I said, that I want to play this for decades on end, but it's a fun game to play for an hour. It's a confirmation.
Buyer's confirmation.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah, but don't expect me to jump into your community.
Come on, man. Let's start our own server now.
You go right ahead.